Hello everyone, welcome to this new TouchDesigner tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to see how to make this generative barcode, and we're gonna end with a network like this where we can play with the parameters we have defined here and have different outcomes of the network. So there's a lot of things where you can play with, and we're gonna start from scratch. So I'm going to delete all of this, and first I want to show you this image. This is a cover art from a music album by Sihan Kamien. And when I saw this, I got a little inspiration and decided the, how can we recreate this in TouchDesigner. So I got that into TouchDesigner, and that was the result. It's very simple. So let's start. Okay, so here first we're going to add a constant. In this constant we're going to define the number of bars. So we make numbers, and first we're going to start with 10. Then we need those bars to be in the x-axis in random position. So we need to define our limits where the bars will be in the screen. So we need to add a min pose x and a max pose x. Also we need a different scale, a random scale in the width of the bar for in this case the x and y. So we need to add again a min scale x and a max scale x, in the same for scale y and max scale y. Okay, so here we have our parameters we're gonna play with. So okay, our next step is to add our bar. So we need to do that with a rectangle, and we need to make this rectangle the shape of the bar. So the size is the same. We leave the size y as 1, and we give it a little value for the size x. So here we have now the bar, but the center is at the 0 position. So we need the center to be in the middle of the length or the size y of the bar. So our very lower part will be always at 0 position. So we can do this by exporting the size y to the center y, and we need to divide it by 2. And as we can see, now our bar starts from 0 and goes up to 1. Okay, so after this, the next step is to add a geometry in this, and we need to add a camera and a render. Okay, this render we need to have a square resolution. We also connect a transform to edit our background, and finally a null to visualize or sketch. Finally, well, also we need to add the material as is a 2D render. We need to use a constant. We can use a constant, and here we have the bar, the initial bar, that is a 0 position. So we need to add here first, we need to add a pattern chop. In this pattern chop, we need to change the type to constant, sorry, to random, as we need to be random. And we export from the null the number of bars to the length parameter. So here we have just 10 random positions, and we in this case for pattern 1 we can change the name to pose x. So here in the to range parameter we always have the outcome from 0 to 1, and we can convert that that values to the range we want. So here I'm going to drag and drop the mean position in x to the 0 to range first, and the max position reference to range 2. And as the positions are 0, because we haven't defined here, we have no positions. Okay, so before continuing to the other parameters, we will connect a merge and then a null, and this null we can rename it to instances, and we're going to go to the geometry, and in the instance page we turn on the instance, and the default instance up we drag the instances in chop. So here then translate y, we can select pose y, and as we see there's nothing happening because we haven't defined it here or values. So first we're going to go to our camera, and as is a 2D shape or graphic, we don't need the perspective view, we can view it as a orthographic. So then it's like we're seeing from always in front of the image or the render or the geometry. And our values are in this case are normalized. Here we are at 0 position, and we can go 1 positive and 1 negative. That is this orth width. That's why is 2, because full length is 2. So knowing this, we can have our bars in the center, so we can do it or give a value minimum of minus 0.5, and we can see now the bars, and a maximum value of 0.5. And now our bars will be within this range. So the next step is to give it a random scale, because all the bars have the same scale. For x this is the same width, and for y that is the same length. So we can copy and paste the pattern. We change to the name to sx, and here we need to change the expressions we have here, so we can change the to range 1. In this case we're going to put or export the min sx and the max xx to range 2, and we connect it to the merge, and that's the scale. It's 0 because we haven't defined it here the minimum and maximum, and we can do the same for the x, the scale in y. So here we do the same, the min scale y to range 1 of the new pattern, and the max scale y to range 2. And finally we connected also to the merge, and now we can in this one we can select scale x and scale y, and it disappears because we haven't defined nothing here. So first we can use these values, and maybe, and we see here that our instances are done. As we can see, this is are upwards, so we need to give it negative values to the scaling weight, so we can do the bars downwards like the image. So we just put the minus sign, and finally we have here our scales. Also we can do it here. Oh, okay, so we can change the seed on every parent job, and we can see how it change or drawing. Okay, so the next thing here is to add the final part, because if we go back to the image, it has some like drop, so we need to add that. How we can do that? Well, we need to add a circle. This circle needs to have the same radius as the size x of our rectangle, so we can export this parameter to the radius. We click reference, and now our circle have that width, that radius. Next we connect again to a different geo, and we also add another constant because we will need different material for this geo. So we can see here or or circle that is in the middle. So we can turn on the instance page here too, and we can leave it here. So we need them to be in the same position that are these the bars, sorry, the rectangles, the bars, but also we need to use or scale on y for the position in y of our circles, because here all are in 0 position in y, so we need it to be at the end of the rectangle. So here we select SY, and now they're at the end of the rectangle. And finally, we need to change the scale because they are all the same size. So we select SX for both in this case, because if we need SY, we will have a distorted image. So we need to select the same scale for scale X and Y, and our circle are done. So this is the main part of the barcode. We can also move them, so maybe like this, and maybe okay 1.25 0.25, sorry, and we can export this translation to the circles, so they will always be references. So basically we can add here more bars and play with our scales, maximums and minimums, as you can see here, and obviously change the randomness, changing the seed on every one of these parent chops. Well, this is the static version of this one, and we can also have an dynamic version we can play, and we will have a more more interesting movement, and maybe more interesting drawing. And we can do this using the tops. So using noise, we will add one noise. This noise, okay, sorry, I'm gonna make visible this null because we're going to work with this. Our resolution in X needs to be in the same of the number of bars we have, and resolution in Y needs to be 1. And the input pixel format will be 32-bit float mono. So we're going to have this same parameters. So we need to copy and paste 3 times this noise and change the name. In this case, pulse X, scale X, and scale Y. Okay, the next thing is we can play with the same and avoid using a lot of more operators, individual operators, using the reorder. So here we're going to connect the position noise to the first, the scale noise to the second input, and the scale while to the third input. And here we all select red for the three inputs, and output red will be the input 1, output green will be input 2, and output blue will be input 3. So here we will have a color texture, but we will have different noises or different parameters in just one texture. So the next thing here is to change the pixel format to 32-bit flow RGB or RGBA, wherever it is the same. And next we're going to add a level, and in this level we need this to clamp the values from the noises to be 0 to 1. So we are normalizing our values. And finally we add a math, and in this math we're going to make our computations like these ones, the ranges for every channel. And finally we will add a null. Sorry. Okay, this null. And this null here first, before doing the next steps with the tops, we're going to convert this information to chop information like the one we have here. So I'm going to move this and I'm going to put this here. We're going to change for the same names here so we can blend or switch between the two forms. So the our channel will be pulse X, the green channel will be SX, and the blue channel will be SY, and we delete the alpha. And here we can use a switch to switch between the two inputs, or maybe I'm going to delete this, maybe a blend. So sorry, it's not a blend, is oh let me check. Oh, I forgot the name. The cross top. So we can cross between the two inputs. So first, we're going to leave it here. These are the data we're receiving from the top network. So first here we're going to change the seed for everyone, because if we have the same seed, that's why we have that kind of of position. Okay, so now we have moved this. The first thing here, as you can see, we have three textures that are black and white, and we have a texture that is colorful. So our values here in the math is where we're going to make that operation, and we can do it all the operations in just one texture. So remember, the R is the position in X, so our zero value will be our minimum position, and the one value will be our maximum position. Then the green, the minimum range, will be the minimum SX, and the maximum to range will be the maximum scale. And we can see that we have the form. And finally, the blue channel is our minimum scaling Y and the maximum scaling Y. And now here we have the result. We can blend between them maybe 0.5. So we have 0.5 of static and 0.5 of dynamic. And to make this dynamic, you can remember using the apps time dot seconds on the translate C. We can have some movement. We can multiply this by 0.1, and you can see the movement. We can copy and paste this expression to the TC of the other ones, and maybe multiply by a larger value, and you can see now the scales are moving also. In this case, the width of every line. And we can play with the period. And finally, we paste the expression in the scale while noise, and also maybe give it more movement. We can play with the period. We can play with the seed, and we can here. Okay, here we have that movement because we have 50%, but if we change the cross to 1, this is the full the full movement with the top network. So we can also play with this. We can change the position where we're seeing the bars, or now the bars have more space in X. Also, the scale could be a little higher, and also, oh, what happened? Okay, and also the scaling Y in Y, we can play with that, and maybe we can do this 0.5, so we can see more complete the scales we're having. And what else? The period. If we have a larger period, the bars will move in group. And also we can do this the same with the scale. So the scales will be like similar, so we have a different type of movement here. Also is too large, so maybe 0.05 and 1. Yes, so we have all in the, and maybe 0.2 and 1.2. Okay, so yeah, you can have very different outcomes. Okay, one last thing here is to have the drop like the image, the inspiration image. So what I did, I downloaded a PNG image that is this. Oh, it came here. So the thing we need to do here is just to drop the PNG to the fit, to the color matte, sorry. And here we need to multiply or radius by a larger number to make visible the drop, and that's the drop. And finally we need to turn on the blending transparency. So if they stuck over other, we can see like transparent. And that's it. We can add also color, so we can copy and paste this this noise we have. We change the name to color. We turn on monochrome and change the pixel format to 32-bit float RGB. The scale, we can give it a value like 0.2 to have a better interpolation of colors, and a period of 5. And we can go to the instance 2 page of the both geometries. We drag and drop the color noise to the color up and select the channel. And we do the same to the geometry 2. R, G, and B. And now we have also the lines with color. So here we can play also with this width, maybe with this scale. Well, no, with the weight scale, I think no. And also we can also flip the image, and it's better to do it with post-processing. So after the render, we can connect a flip. So if you want the bars going upwards, just turn on the flip Y, and now the bars go upwards. And also we can delete, sorry, the color map. We need to have the same radius or not, is your choice. And the archetype, sorry, the divisions, we can have less, and this will change the shape. So we can have triangles, squares, hexagons, octagons, and the circle. What else? Okay, you can add also effects like the bloom. This is one of it I usually use for my sketches. So we place it from the palette on the image filters. You select bloom and drag it to the network and connect the image or the render without the background. We need it to have the alpha, because the effect is different if you have background. So this is before you add the background. So next is to connect to the input, and now you can start seeing different outcome here. You can go to the bloom. You can play with the blur, the iterations. We're going to change the tree. I usually don't use the glow level, but you can use it, so I will turn it off. So we will have only bloom. And the tricky part is playing with threshold and intensity. So you can see that if we raise the bloom level, the 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 bars are now glowing, and you can change the intensity and the threshold to have different outcome. So I think there's enough um, parameters that you can play with and maybe have some interesting outcomes from this sketch. And I think that's it for this tutorial. I hope this is useful for you and you enjoy it making this. If you follow this tutorial and have some output, please tag me on Instagram at aken.back. I will be it will be a pleasure to see your results on this. And also, if you like this, you know, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And also, I have an interactive version of this using Ableton Live. So if you're interested to see how to make this moving through MIDI, please comment it below. And if there's enough people interested in, I can make that tutorial too. So you can also support me on Patreon to upload more sketches, more tutorials. And that's it. That's everything. Stay safe, and I see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.